economics, promoting economic education, things like that. I have a PhD from the University of Minnesota. By training, I'm an economic theorist, which means I do a lot of math in my spare time. But I also work on competition policy, market dynamics, things like that. You and I know each other because I've been reading blogs for a long time. That's what got me into economics in 2010, 2011, and obviously you were very active in the blogosphere. And so I was a physicist for my undergrad, and then I discovered economics, and I decided I was going to change my career direction and studied first in a master's, then a PhD, and just every day teaching economics.
Okay, great. I don't know if you know this, Brian, but yeah, when I was in junior high, I was a big fan of Richard Feynman and thought I was going to become a theoretical physicist. And then in high school, I got seduced by the economists. My physics teacher was
so early. Yeah, okay. I had to wait until junior, senior year, coming out of the Great Recession at that time, and discovered the Austrians, discovered people like Thomas Sowell, really got me excited about it, and decided to. Actually, we're going to talk about Austrian. I was reading his textbook at night, and I'm like, okay, I should go back to school. I should do this full time. I should be working for a sector.
Okay, interesting. Maybe before we jump into the Austrian stuff, just like University of Minnesota. So, can you speak a bit about because that's like people know about there's the Chicago School, MIT or something, but the University of Minnesota is also now has made its name as a certain perspective. You want to speak a little bit about that? What people think, what goes on in the Minnesota Economics Department? What are the stereotypical associations?
Yeah, so it's dated at this point, but people might have a reference to saltwater versus freshwater. So the saltwater macroeconomists have been the people at MIT or Paul Samuelsons of the world. Broadly speaking, more in favor of government intervention, more Keynesian type of people. So Keynesian puts you in time frame talking about the 70s, 80s, stuff like that. That's contrasted with the freshwater, Chicago, which most people will know, but also places like Rochester, Carnegie Mellon, and then the University of Minnesota. And so it really got its name as in the public perception, got its name for macroeconomics. Very rigorous in terms of the mathematics. Founders of Rational Expectations. Robert Lucas passed away just this morning. He'd be another big name, but along with Robert
Lucas died this morning.
Sorry, breaking news. You haven't been spending enough time on Twitter.
No, because I'm actually in Florida coming back from a conference. I didn't know. Maybe okay. Finally, go ahead, finish your train of thought. Maybe we'll spend a minute on Robert Lucas.
Yeah. If it's in there, there'll be some selections.
TV news. Okay.
So the Rational Expectations, people like Ed Prescott, very math heavy, very formal, wanting to be very precise in their mathematical statements. That is a thing that still exists today at the University of Minnesota, even though the big names that we're talking about were papers in the 70s and 80s. They stayed on the faculty until a little bit before I got there.
Still very much are you? Because a lot of those names are associated with Chicago. Are you saying that their students went to Minnesota, or they also did time at Minnesota?
Yeah, some of them did time at Prescott was at Minnesota for a long time. Robert Lucas was not, but he was very much in the circles. Lots of his students went to Minnesota. I saw him at conferences at Minnesota. There's very much a connection there, even if people didn't have formal appointments. The lines are blurred. This might be too in the weeds, but some people had appointments at the Minneapolis Federal Reserve, which is just down the street. And so, like someone like Robert Lucas might have been an advisor for a year at the Federal Reserve and been around in the circles. I don't know if he was, but people of that type were definitely.
Okay, and then also most people probably got the reference, just in case we have some foreign listeners or U.S. listeners who don't know geography. The freshwater meaning is like near the Great Lakes. Like
yeah, exactly. Near the Great Lakes, so Minnesota, Lake Superior, Chicago.
As opposed to the oceans, right? So the ones
oceans,
east or west coast are near saltwater. So that's the sense in which it just seems to be this pattern that the interior ones near the lakes happen to be hotbeds of, generally speaking, free market economics, though with different varieties of flavors, and then the saltwater, Keynesian analysis. Again, not that it's political, but we all know that there does seem to be some correlations involved.
Yeah, there's correlations involved, and this is particularly around, Chicago School of Economics has particular implications around free markets and stuff like that. When people say freshwater, it means it has a connection to Chicago for sure, but it's also more explicitly macro, less explicitly about free markets, but there is an implication there. I mean, there's a reason that saltwater people were Keynesian and supported more government intervention on different things. There's a connection, but it is useful as a slightly different way of differentiating these schools of thought.
Okay, yeah, but why don't we spend just a minute on Lucas, rest of these, and just so. Rational expectations, the idea there being that, under the Keynesian framework, among other possible problems with that approach, is the idea that, if we just, if they pump up money, inflation goes up, and the way that brings down unemployment, there's a sense in which the workers are fooled, because, my wages are going up in nominal terms, but they don't realize actually the real wages are being cut. And so, among other things, rational expectations says, no, that's not going to work in the long run. You can't be fooling people when you just figure out what's going on, stuff like that. What about real business cycle theory? Can you just briefly, is that a thing that's in Minnesota or not necessarily?
So real business cycle theory is even more Minnesota than Robert Lucas. So real business cycle theory is most associated with Kydland and Prescott. Prescott, Finn Kydland won the Nobel Prize in 2000 at some point. And the basic question is, okay, instead of worrying about demand shifting around, instead of worrying about policy messing up, like how much of business cycles can be explained just by trying to build a very simple model where what happens is productivity goes up and down for whatever reason. How much of the business cycle can we explain? And real business cycle then starts that insight and builds in all sorts of ways, but that there's a real thing. Technology is changing. Technology growth goes up, it goes down. How much of the movement can we make sense of without going into this full-fledged giant Keynesian model that has 1,000 variables that you're trying to estimate and trying to keep track of it. It's like one sector model, repeated over time. You have capital that's building up, and how can you account for that? Now there's lots of spin-offs of that and different ways it's connected. Kydland and Prescott came up with something called the time to build model, which is very much connected to Austrian ideas of capital. There's a shock that happens today. It takes a while for the economy to adjust, especially if capital is a serious thing. And so what happens to the path of, let's say, employment or GDP and stuff like that? Let's build the simplest model possible and then see if we can explain things. It turned out that they can do a pretty good job. Lots of critiques of real business cycle theory, but they could get more action with a simpler model than people maybe thought.
So let me take a crack at saying some general statements about different schools of thought, and then obviously I'll give you a chance to push back on any of it or say good job. Either way, so obviously most of our listeners are familiar with the Austrian theory of the business cycle. So what's neat about real business cycle theory, I think it's kind of like the mirror image of Keynesianism, and I think the Austrian theory kind of blends both elements. So again, brushing with broad strokes here, the Keynesians in general, in terms of talking about recessions in modern market economies since the start of the 20th century, let's say, blame most of shortfall of demand. Right? So it's call it a monetary thing that in terms of it's total spending is not high enough for whatever reason, and it's not enough to provide full employment. So that's why the central bankers put interest rates, and then if it gets down to 0%, you're in the so-called liquidity trap. And if it's still total private spending isn't enough, then the government has to come in with a big fiscal deficit to fill the gap. Okay, so that's kind of like a monetary or a demand-driven aggregate. It's about spending, it's about money, nominal things. Whereas the reason they call it real business cycle theory, RBC, is they're not looking at spending patterns and things like that, or how much much money's going around. They're looking at real factors. And my understanding is that when they first launched this, they can come up with a simple model in the sense there's not too many moving parts, but the math does get complicated to complete the model. And like they can say, oh, if we model the U.S. economy as an agent who has a preference for leisure, but also likes the things that labor can yield, but the productivity varies depending on external conditions. Well, what's a rational person going to do? I've seen analogies like to an Uber driver. If you're an Uber driver and you got to sleep sometimes, you don't want to work on the clock all the time, you got to take breaks. So when are you going to be behind the wheel looking to get rides when it's most productive? So like if a lot of flights are going to land at a certain time of day, you're going to be at the airport ready. If it's New Year's Eve or something, you're going to be working all night. But other times, like 2 o'clock in the morning on a weekday when there's no holiday, you're not going to be hanging outside the airport, you're Uber waiting for a ride because you just know there's no business for it. So with that insight, the idea is, when your labor's most productive, that's when you're going to work. And when it's not so productive, that's when you're not going to work. And you're going to enjoy leisure instead. So they model the entire economy as like an agent rationally choosing like that. And so when the OPEC oil shock happens in the 70s, energy's more expensive. That means workers and other factors aren't as productive. So the economy would rationally work less, and that shows up as high unemployment. But and so the idea is not to say, this is a rational response to these shocks that happen. It's not the economy suddenly broken during a recession. And then
that's a big part of it. It's not as broken. These are one thing is trying to fit everything in the same story, the same situation. In good times and bad times, these are the same people acting, same things, making decisions, and ultimately, real things like being able to produce because you have oil matters. Where a lot of other schools, Austrians at times, or the monetarists, the Keynesians, think about this disconnect because money causes complications, sometimes throw off investment, and spin in all sorts of ways. But there's let's not worry about what money's doing. Let's not worry about what interest rate is doing. Let's boil it down to the simplest. In terms of moving parts, Matthew, as you said, can be a little bit more complicated. But in terms of moving parts, no, it's just productivity is moving up and down, and what can we trace out with that?
Okay, and then the other virtue in those world, like everybody had rational expectations and stuff in the world of those models, right? So there was no fooling with the work. It was given these shocks occurred, to work less is the rational optimizing response, and that's what you do.
So in all of these models, you have to find a way to deal with expectations, because you're not going to stay home. Take your Uber example. You're not going to stay home if every day is going to be low employment. There's an intertemporal substitution you're going to do there. Well, how much do you think you're going to work tomorrow night? How much do you think you're going to work? It's supply and demand. Price goes up, quantity, demand goes down, so on and so forth. Now there's more to life than just prices. But how much of the story of how markets work can be explained just thinking about prices moving around? I think we can explain a lot. That doesn't mean that I think everything in the world is how prices going up and down. Advertising plays a role, inequality plays a role. Let's at least build up a shared foundation, and that's what's happened over the last 40 years in macroeconomics. Is everyone took the real business cycle model and then they put on whatever pieces that they thought were using, sticky prices, time to build considerations, whatever it is.
Okay, great. So speaking of prices, why don't we now move on to what was going to be the official topic? Is I saw Brian. What was the reason? Was it the 10th anniversary of his death? Is that why you all of a sudden started talking about Elshin? He's talking about
I'm always talking about Elshin, and I think I was bored one day and I saw an old video where maybe I stumbled across an old video where Elshin is interviewing Hayek, and it made me want to write a thread. Was not deleted because of my old tweets. Read a thread on Elshin because most people don't know who he is, even most economists. I have a newsletter at Common Forces at Substack that is very much in the spirit of what I'm Elshin is.
Okay, great. So the reason I'm the price thing is it right to say price theory in the UCLA tradition? Is that the way people talk?
I think so. That's the way I talk. I don't know how much it's
a person. That's what you
think. So there is at least two. Me and my co-author Josh.
Okay. So yeah, and the reason I say this is because I actually never learned that formally. Right? So I went to Hillsdale College, where it was an Austrian tradition, and then NYU, for the PhD again, Austrian. Well, New Keynesian in terms of the formal coursework, and then you have the Austrian in terms of the outside reading what I did there. And so I actually know who was from UCLA or learned in that tradition as ever my direct teacher. Because even like Rizzo and guys like that at NYU were Chicago guys. They weren't. So I know like, you read stories about this stuff. I looked up on Wikipedia. Apparently James Buchanan said that Elshin was the best Blackboard economist of all time. Something like that. Like meaning that the idea being that in terms of like if you read like some of the exams that they would give their students, like, well, this wasn't a math question. Like here's calculate how many barrels of oil are going to get across the board. Like it was really getting you to think through the logic of how the prices work and incentives and things like that. So anyway, let me stop and turn over to you for just if you want to give a general preface before we dive into your thread here, going through some of his work. Like you want to just speak a little bit about Elshin's role in the profession?
Yeah. So he's an underappreciated overall because he's not that well known. But the people who had him as a professor or interacted with him in other places swore by him as this genius. And when Buchanan says that he's the best Blackboard candidate, I think it's just the ability to think through using simple models on the board any problem that you put towards him. UCLA econometrics is you ask Elshin, do these numbers look right? He says yes or no. That's it. He just knows his stuff. The people who knew him just swore by everything he said on that front. But he's relatively obscure in the sense that he didn't write that much compared to some other big names. He wasn't mathematical. This was before. His first major article is 1950. His last major article is maybe 78. So maybe you could say there's an 85 articles. That's a window. It's kind of in this transition where math is taking over, but he was of the older tradition and didn't use a ton of math. He used some, he was a statistician like Milton Friedman, but he wasn't the kind of heavy math that you then saw in the 60s and 70s. So he's a little bit out of place with the rest of the profession. It's also just hard. His textbook is hard. He has a textbook with Bill Allen. With a few editions. The current version from Liberty Fund is called University Economics. Universal. The original one was University. Universal Economics. And it's supposed to be this principle textbook, but it's hard questions. It's not here's a curve, literally read off the graph, which is what most principles and micro courses are now. This is like big questions about like if there's a price control in this market, what happens to the other market? What happens to the waiting in line if this happens? It's just very open-ended types of questions, which were famous as part of the price theory tradition, both in the UCLA version and Chicago version. So Milton Friedman has a collected lecture notes that are price theory of provisional text or something like that. Price theory term is also connected to Chicago as well.
Let me just give it an example. So Steve, I'm thinking of Steve Landsberg. I really read his blog. So I believe he's from Chicago. And the price is again, technically it's weird, obviously, but just to give people an idea of there is this thing of the price theory tradition, like both at Chicago and UCLA, that if you just read Austrians, you wouldn't see this kind of stuff. So I just want to give an example of the kind of thing you mean. Because the context here, Brian, is Steve recently gave his exam. I forget what level it was to ChatGPT-4 to see how it did, and he failed it miserably. But in fairness, I don't know if I would have passed this test, given how Steve looks. He wants a specific answer, and he won't say, "Oh my God, how did you even know that?" So anyway, just so the folks at home get an idea. The question was something like the government is handing out, or not, the government's selling something that people value at $5, and then it's also and people are lining up to get the thing. the paper. And then to try to make it more enjoyable or something for them, the government also starts making cups of coffee and handing them out for free to the people in line. So that they don't just kind of stand there and drinking coffee while they're waiting. And the coffee costs $2 a cup to make, but the people in line actually only value each cup at $1. And then what's the total social cost of the government adding this coffee program to the thing? And so your natural inclination is to think it's either 2 or 1. You're not, because the gross cost is a net, and you think that's the thing. But no, what Steve wanted for the answer, that's what the ChatGPT did. I think it said one time so many cups of coffee, or that's the net cost or something, social cost of this coffee program. And Steve was, no, it totally missed the fact that given now that the government is handing out free cups of coffee, it makes it more enjoyable to wait in the line. So more people will get in the line longer, and that kind of fritters away whatever the benefit was of that cup of coffee. The subjective, you know what I mean? So in other words, the line grows now until the point at which the marginal guy getting at the end of the line is just indifferent between getting in line or not. So by adding the coffee, it didn't help anybody at all, right? Whatever, so that's the idea of it. Well, but I was saying that's the kind of stuff you wouldn't see something like that in Rothbard or anything.
Yeah. It's the way I characterize it. It's thinking across markets, or in this case, it's you have your initial thing, which is okay, people value the coffee, but then there's a secondary effect, this unseen almost, if you don't pay attention, of wait, the line gets longer, and you want to trace these things out. And it's very much Lansberg's a great example. He was a Chicago PhD, but math, but he took the Chicago place theory course from Donald McCluskey years now, and he's probably the best example of this, like in popular writing. If people haven't read his Armchair Economist, it's a great one. He's got a recent one that has a great explanation of Hayek in the Knowledge Policy. I forget what that's called. But yeah, just great communicative on this.
Right. Okay, so do you know of any other examples like that, or is that, like to give an example, like a brain teaser or whatever?
Yeah, so a lot of them are structured as brain teasers, and Lansberg really pushes the brain teaser. I think it's Outsmarting Economists is another book because he wants one. But Elton would ask questions like, this is one I got from Walter Williams, you build New York City built a bridge, it ends up lasting for 100 years. Like, why do you build a bridge? Why does anyone today build a bridge when the benefits don't come in for another 100 years? You start thinking through the possible answers. One possible answer would be like, well, there's no other way to do that. And I guess apparently according to Nelson, that's not true. You can actually make very short-term bridges. People do it in war all the time. And so you get all these answers.
Right, so it'd be cheaper.
It'd be cheaper today if
it's not going to last more than 10 weeks or something. But
yeah. But we never see that. We see pretty sturdy bridges, at least in the United States and stuff. And so what are all the possible rationales? It turns out generally there's like never an answer to those questions. It's just like open-ended to think through what counts as an explanation. But that's one. I should have a better example off the top of my head because I've gone through universal economics many times, and there are a lot of good ones there, but I can't think of them.
Okay, I mean, presumably part of the it's hard to government contracts and stuff, and then you say, because they're shoveling money to the unions and they can, but I guess it's a private thing. Why would Disney World build a bridge that lasts 30 years?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know all the ones that he knocked down in class that he thought weren't acceptable. Maybe that's part of it.
Right. Yeah. So it's presumably the answer something well because it's still, even if you're on your deathbed as a shareholder, you want to maximize the value of the shares, and people can look ahead and know that it's the revenue coming in next year because the bridge is in place, blah blah blah. So
yeah, I assume part of the answer was the same reason that firms do this, build for the future beyond their deathbed. I mean, I know one example isn't just from him. A lot of people talk about is planting trees that don't come to full growth for 100 years. Well, for outsiders or people who don't know economics, that may be a little bit strange. Why would you do that? But you get the value of the tree that's going to be full height in 80 years or something, 40 years or something. And so those kind of standard present discounted value type of calculations that make your firm valuable today. That force is very strong in a lot of different situations.
Right, yeah, most people who don't know economics think that private owners have a incentive to just clear cut forests, and they look at like in Brazil, that stuff happening. See, that's laissez-faire. Like, no, actually, that's the government, giving logging rights to private companies, private timber, things. Foresters have the incentive to maintain their crop, just like run out of tomatoes because all the farmers foolishly, or we don't kill all the cattle. Oh no, we didn't keep us back enough cattle. We just slaughtered it all because meat prices were so high. Shoot, there's no more cattle, they all died. Now we can't enjoy beef again.
I think this is one of the areas where Elsie was really consistent and really push forward our thinking of it is that we need to turn everything into like present value calculation, and that there's some capital that is valuable to you today. Why do you run advertisements today? Well, because running advertisements today raises brand awareness. Well, that turns into the value of your firm today. If you try to sell it, would be higher after you ran the ads. They're assuming that you make a good decision about ads that are beneficial. Right? Why do you train your workers today? Same thing. Kind of everywhere we look, all of these things for a private firm get rolled into the capital value or just the value of the firm. And everything in terms of costs, in terms of profits, any of these things need to be thought of in that term. What is your value today if you want to sell it, and what are the things that increase that value over time?
Great. Okay, so I'm just going through the post now here. I want to make sure you get some of this. So you start on saying in 1984, Hayek was asked who his favorite economist was. He named 2. I like that. That's a good economist answer. That somebody asks you a question, you just give it straight. Well, it could be this guy on the one hand, or it could be this guy. And so he named Stigler. George Stigler was one of them, but the other one was Armin Elshan. Apparently, unless Brian's lying to us. And so then
I think that's in a recent interview. I did check that before I tweeted it.
Well, that's more than I would do. So there you go. Best you can, all I know is possible than I believe. I sort of explained to the British government. Okay, so and then Brian saying how a lot of people don't know Elshan's name. That's a shame. And so in this series of tweets, he's going to go over some of his major works. Okay, so you start out production, information, cost, and economic organization with Harold Densets. So Harold Densets himself is a giant in these areas, right?
Yeah. So those are if you've heard of UCLA economics or you've heard of property right economics, and Elshan and Densets are 2 of the big names in this particular paper. Maybe actually the whole. No, they have another paper, but this is the one that people often know them for. This paper on basically the theory of the firm, why firms exist. And it was cited as one of the 20 most influential papers from the American Economic Review, a big journal of the American Economic Association. 20 best papers in the first 100 years. Other ones that people be aware of is The Use of Knowledge in Society is in that list. Canaro has a paper on health economics. Big papers, all of them, 20 of them. And this one by Elshan and Densets is kind of key.
Okay, so before you give example, in case people are like, why do firms exist? Because we want products and services. What does that question mean compared to what? What would it mean if firms didn't exist? We don't mean we'd all be dead. What is it?
Yeah, we could just bilaterally contract maybe. Just buy things on the market, little by little. Go to the spot market, buy an Apple. Go to the market, buy a computer. That sort of transaction. Why doesn't that just happen for everything? Kind of this contractor model. Why isn't that just pushed to the extreme? Whether you hire me for an hour today, 4 hours tomorrow. You hire me for this task or that task. That's not what we see. We don't see people going to an active market every second. People incorporate. It's a bad word for people joined together into firms. And so why do they exist? Coase had something that was sort of an answer, but not really an answer in his theory of the firm. Well, the reason we exist is because it's too costly for us to trade that often. And so instead of going and hiring a contractor every hour, we create a firm. I sign you for a long-term contract. There's ways to fire you. There's ways for you to leave. But we create some stability that lowers transactions costs. That answer is